This is Art Television.
Coming up, State of Business, sponsored by
IWS Aviation.
A very good evening and a very warm welcome to State of Business on our television. I'm Savindri Javardhana. Let's look at the top stories for the day. Country is fully ready to adopt IMF program, Central Bank Governor says. Verification of real Samurdhi beneficiaries will be concluded soon. News in detail. Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe said that the country is fully ready to adopt the International Monetary Program as the country has already completed all prerequisites. Governor Dr. Veerasinghe made this announcement at the monthly Monetary Policy Review media briefing, which took place last Tuesday evening at the Central Bank premises.
So now we have come to almost close to implementing the IMF program. And for us to be able to move forward, we basically had to reach a consensus with the IMF and us on what is the required adjustment of policy rates compared to what we agreed earlier. So as I think earlier we agreed to about the consensus was to increase by 250 basis points, but somehow we both agreed that path is going to be much faster. As a result, we agreed that we will raise by 100 basis points. The policy rates will be raised by 100 basis points today. As a result, we took that decision today. We raised policy rates by 100 basis points. So that one important part is that with that, we are now implemented all the prior actions. And we are stand ready to adopt the IMF program. I think we hope that that will happen soon. And there will be hopefully within this month. And with that, we can move forward and make another good progress. In that process, IMF program outlook and also the exit tracking process going forward.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka maintained policy interest rates at their current level, saying such a stance was necessary to reduce inflation, followed by lowering of interest rates. Central Bank Governor Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe on Tuesday told the media that the Monetary Board, which met on Monday, considered the recent and expected economic developments and macroeconomic projections on domestic and global fronts.
Monetary Board decided to raise policy interest rates by 100 basis points with effect from, I think, today. So decision was based on several factors. First, you can remember mainly in the negotiated the staff level agreement with the IMF back in I think 1st of September we finalized the agreement. At that point we had inflation projections and outlook from both the IMF and the central bank. We obviously had projections can vary depending on the models or the methods that we use. IMF always had inflation path at that time, which was much higher than what we had. But somehow that time, because projections, that time we were basically hoping we would get the IMF program unlocked somewhere in December. And NDA inflation target at that time, the IMF was I think 70%, and we had a little lower, but somewhere closer at that point. And that's where we raised policy rates, I think, 100 basis points. In July, we raised 100 basis points, and we basically had an understanding to raise by another higher amount of tightening in terms of policy rates, depending on the inflation outlook and the actual outlook that was going to happen in the next couple of months.
Central Bank Governor Dr. Veerasinghe also said that considering the current economic situation in the country, Both the International Monetary Fund and the central bank revised its projections on inflation, and still the IMF projections are in higher rates. However, CBS chief added that he is confident enough with the experience that will be able to manage on the levels what the central bank projects.
What we saw from that point onwards, inflation was, in fact, contrary to the IMF projections, and we already saw inflation peak at 70% somewhere in, I think, September. And thereafter disinflation process continue and still continuing up to this point. And then as a result, we continue to discuss with the IMF, and then we revise both IMF and the central bank revise our predictions based on the actual data as well as outlook based on the information that both are having. IMF predictions are still higher than what we think the inflation is going to be by end of this year and next year. This year, when you're going to see the IMF predictions, when the program is basically implemented and the documents are out, you're going to see their predictions, inflation are at a higher path, trajectory is higher than our path. But predictions are basically predictions. No one can say with certainty this will be this prediction, but we are confident that our projections will be much more closer based on the experience. Last couple of months, our projections are much closer to the actuals.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back after the break. State Minister of Finance says that the identification process of persons who should unquestionably receive the Samurdhi benefit will finish within few weeks. State Finance Minister Shehan Semasinghe said that the information verification process of the 3 million Samurdhi applications submitted will be concluded in a few weeks. He said that the government has acted to reactivate this project by addressing all transparency-related issues in the Samurdhi program, which was initiated to improve the living conditions of those in need of financial assistance. He explained that the identification of the parties who should unquestionably receive this benefit within the legal framework and the assurance that no one is left behind were the goals of the information verification process. The IMF and the World Bank have recognized that several Samurdhi beneficiaries are not below the poverty line and therefore not entitled to the benefits. As a result, it has been requested that the government create a list of authentic beneficiaries. According to the State Minister, the Finance Ministry and the President's Office called for Samurdhi applications through an interesting alternative system to identify the most needed parties, despite there being a delay in the progression of the judicial proceedings conducted by different trade unions. Given the significance of the program, it has drawn attention on a global scale, and thus it is crucial to sustaining the government's relief program for people suffering from poverty in developing countries in a more transparent manner. In the meantime, Asian Development Bank's annual publication, the Asian Development Outlook, says that Sri Lanka's economy is going to contract further in 2023 before a gradual recovery. The ADB's annual flagship economic publication made this forecast as the country navigates an unprecedented economic crisis. According to the report, the economy contracted by 7.8% in 2022 and is forecast to contract by 3% in 2023 as it continues to grapple with the challenge of debt restructuring and balance of payments difficulties. It says reform measures such as the reversal of the tax cuts of 2019 and the recent approval of the International Monetary Fund's Extended Fund Facility arrangement will support the country's efforts to stabilize its economy. It was emphasized that Sri Lanka's recovery from the crisis hinges on timely progress on debt relief and steadfast implementation on reforms. Deputy Country Director for Sri Lanka, Utsav Kumar, said that Sri Lanka has a long road to recovery and it will be critical to ensure the poor and vulnerable are protected. He also mentioned that it is imperative that the country address the root causes of internal and external imbalances for which an unwavering commitment to reforms is essential. The needed reforms included enhancing domestic resource mobilization, improving the performance of state-owned enterprises to reduce their fiscal burden, strengthening public financial management and encouraging private sector activities through harmonizing trade and investment policies, while also improving governance and accountability mechanisms such as strengthening anti-corruption legislation, building strong institutions and increasing transparency are said to be essential to address Sri Lanka's economic vulnerability. Ambassador to the Kingdom of Netherlands says that Dutch companies are eager to explore investment opportunities in Sri Lanka given a corruption-free business environment is created. The ambassador stated this at a meeting with the leadership of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce. Ambassador to the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Sri Lanka, Bonnie Hobart, stated that Dutch companies are eager to explore investment opportunities in renewable energy, eco-labeling and sustainable agriculture. The ambassador stressed that investments will only come if Sri Lanka can showcase a corruption-free business environment. Ambassador Hobart highlighted the importance of engaging with the EU Green Deal and upcoming mandatory responsible business requirements most of the EU countries are now looking for. The ambassador assured that the Dutch government continues to implement existing projects in the areas of training and technology transfer, especially in the agricultural sector, including the poultry industry in Sri Lanka. Responding to ambassador's interest in facilitating high-level bilateral business engagements, including organizing of business promotion mission to the Netherlands by the Dutch embassy in 2023, Ceylon Chamber of Commerce chairman Wish Govindasamy requested the ambassador's support to enhance exports and tourism. The chamber chairman appreciated the support received by the dairy industry in Sri Lanka through various projects implemented by the Embassy of the Netherlands and requested similar assistance to identify opportunities for the agri-sector, including bilateral business engagements such as B2Bs and joint ventures in the Netherlands. Stay tuned for stock update.
IWS Aviation.
Welcome back after the break. The trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained 82.93 points to close at 9,256.90 and the S&P SL20 gained 21.64 points to close at 2,685.91. The turnover was 0.8 billion rupees and over 50 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. And that's all news for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at the usual time. Until then, take care and good night.
State of Business was sponsored by
IWS Aviation.